We have states that are already doing press releases and op-eds. We certainly can help them with their press releases. Some, they're writing their own op-eds. We have meltwater. We can send them out to the press in just that state. So we have the capability to alert all the press through a press release in a particular state or a particular area. We can do that for a chapter when they're ready. And we can do the action alerts. We also do come into states and do fundraising events and house parties. So now, remember, this is a coalition, so you can't become of the mentality, you know what, I heard Edwina Rogers was in my San Diego area, and she was in there raising some money, and she took some of our money, and that money could have gone to Secular Coalition for California. So it could never be that type of mentality because, you know, where's Edwina going to go and raise money for Secular Coalition for America? You know, do I need to go to Europe? So if every state starts thinking that National can't come into their state and try to raise money because that money could have gone to them, then we have no place to go except for maybe the moon or something. So we'll continue to go into every state like we always have, and we'll raise money. And then all the national organizations, our board, will try to best look after every issue in every state and nationally and internationally as our ability allows us. And we can do grassroots mobilization, coordinate lobbying efforts with various secular organizations. Now, the resources that we have available, remember we've got the CQ state track. We'll have your website. I was texting all weekend to our webmaster, who's actually just right up the road in Los Angeles, is our national webmaster for all the state sites, and he says he's pretty much ready to go live with California. And we give national assistance. We have our full C4 lobbying privileges. We have all kinds of promotional and informational resources, trainings and guides. So whatever point you're trying to make, the odds are we already have the document ready for you. You can just grab it. It's not PDF, you know, it's there. You snatch my name off, you throw your name on, you're ready to go. Okay, so that's the way it works. That's the overview of the state chapter. Now we can get a little bit into, on the right side of the folder are really good documents on how you do the specific lobbying, how you do specific fundraising, and how you handle the media, whether it be print, TV, or radio, and how you write an op-ed. It is all in here. It is completely documented in specific detail of exactly what we'd like for everybody to be doing. Yes, Emil?
Could you explain what you mean by full C4 lobbying privileges?
Okay, that means that's a very good question, because a lot of the participating groups that we're going to ask to be in the coalition, 99% of them will probably be C3s, or they'll just be a group, you know, like Edwina Rogers and Friends meet up to discuss humanism. So when the groups ask you, is it legal, is it okay for us to participate? All right, so we're a C4, which means that we have nonprofit status, and we have the right to do all types of lobbying, and people who donate to us, the donors that I'm meeting with and raising money for the C4, they're not getting a tax write-off. Okay, so we're not a C3 pure charity, and most of you are probably involved in groups that are C3s, that are more educational, and you're not out there doing electioneering, okay? So we're doing scorecards, you know, we can go out there and say, vote for this person and don't vote for that person, candidate recruitment, lobbying, everything to the max. Now, your other group could be a C3. C3s can do quite a bit of lobbying up to a certain percentage of their funds that they take in, but there's some things that they really can't do, like, you know, doing scorecards would probably be a little bit problematic for them. So if your group is a C3 and you've got that hat on, but you want to do all this other lobbying and really political stuff, then you simply step over here and you put your C4 hat on, and then that group is a member, but through the C4 they can do all the lobbying that they want to do. So like, for example, all of our members, everybody on my board is representing a C3, okay, but we're at C4. So we're doing all the appropriate C4 activity that C3s can't do or they don't want to do. And so all the local groups, all the groups in California, that needs to be explained to them, because some of them will say, oh, we're a C3, I don't think we're supposed to be doing those kinds of things. Well, that's true. It's not the C3, it's your C4, your coalition group. So when you go in and you're doing a meeting with a particular legislature, you're their Secular Coalition for California, but they might, you might happen to have your individual card for your other group, or you might mention that group, which is perfectly fine, but everything was set up and funded, all the money, everything was documented through the C4. So let's move into, so now under the lobbying section, we have several sheets here. We have state lobbying strategy. We have the lobby visit, a how-to guide, contacting your legislature, lobbying by phone, email, and letter. And then we have presenting testimony. We have numerous chapters that have already testified in the committee level, and they've been able to kill a few bills, mainly teaching of creationism. And then we have a nice handout for state chapter fundraising, more than you'd ever want to know on that. And then we have a really good handout, a basic and the tips on press interviews, written press, and then over on the next page, TV and radio. We have how to do letters to the editor, and then we have a donation information form. All right, so this form can also be used with your state chapters. So let's just jump into the state lobbying strategy. So we have here, this is what I've been talking about. Build a coalition. How do you build a coalition? You have to identify the groups in your state. We've already done that for you. See Me will get you the list. Probably some of you met Michael Lewis, who was here this weekend. He's the gentleman who developed the list for us. While we were all sleeping the last 6 months, he was paying people in India to comb the internet and find every non-theist group in America, basically, was how we ran them down. So thank you for his generosity for doing that. But he's someone, like myself, where he's trying to look after every group. And in California, part of the California chapter, you're really thinking a little bit about the whole movement as a whole in California. So attend and speak at their meetings. So try to be a little more open to all the groups and let them, let it be known that you're looking after the whole movement in California and you're not there to compete. And it doesn't matter that your leadership in a group, that doesn't matter. You're just also, you've got two hats. You're trying to build a coalition also. And then all the tide's going to rise and all the ships move up. This really does work. Get permission from the groups to have them listed on the website. We talked about that. They need to go in there, or you go. I don't even let them go in there because they never get around to it. I usually walk around with a clipboard and I have a piece of paper and I'm like, will you be a participating group? I just need the name of your group and the website and your name and the zip code, and I'll go and enter it myself, and then you're a participating group. And they're like, okay. Are you a dictator? Yeah, I'm a dictator. Oh, perfect. You can just go ahead and decide. And then, but if they have a board, some people will say they've got to go maybe and have a vote or something. But I love finding dictators because you can just put their group in as a participating group straight away. So, of course, you have to get permission from them, and we can shoot out an email to them. And have them listed as participants. Then you don't have to worry about, oh, we're a member and what's, what kind of commitment. It's like getting married or something, and they're, all worried. And then you can also look for endorsing groups or allied groups. Now, allied groups might be like a local chapter of Americans United. They're not a non-theist group, but they still would like to be involved in the coalition. So you can have them listed as allies. And on your website, like our website, you can see groups can be listed as endorsing or allies. And then partner with organizations, even only if it's on a single issue. So maybe there's a science group that is aligned with you on the issue of teaching evolution and not creationism. And then you say to them, okay, we want you listed as a participating group, but there's going to be a footnote here, and it's in the formula for participating groups, that you're only aligned with us on issues within your mission statement. Okay, so they don't have to worry about it. It's not that they're a full participating group. They're only participating with us in the Secular Coalition for California on issues that fit within their mission statement. So that's the way we take care of that. Bigger the coalition, then better. So you see, it's all worked out where no matter which group you run across, you can do an ask, pretty much. There might be something, they might want to just endorse you. It could be like a clothing company. Well, yeah, there are a lot of people in the secular movement. I'd like to endorse you guys. They just giving us an endorsement. And then grow your list of supporters. So every time you meet somebody, an individual, I call them free agents. We love to grab these free agents. They've never heard of the movement. And we get them in the door and we get them in the database through the Secular Coalition for California. And then they'll say, oh, well, is there a local group of the humanists? Because then I'd like to get involved in the local group. So we actually have done a really good job through press and these calls at the state level. People will just call in, oh, I heard about this, or I saw it on Facebook, and I'm interested. And then we get them hooked into the movement, and then they get in with the students and the campers and their local humanist group or whatever. So use it for that also. And then gather and prepare resources. You know, we're talking about having things on your website. And you can see here, you know, what's on the list, what I'm talking about. I don't need to read every word to you. Building relationships with lawmakers, having introductory materials. We have all those materials. We do welcome letters when there are new members of Congress that come in with a general overview of the Secular Coalition for America, and it could be identical for California. Fundraising. Their support makes our work possible, talking with potential donors about supporting their efforts of the Secular Coalition. So whenever you're out and about, you know, encourage people, if they donate, if they become a donor to the Secular Coalition for America and they have a California zip code, well, you know, we know that they're coming from California and they're in the database, and then we can all kind of use them. We can use them for California activities. They're helping us nationally. And remember, you know, we're spending a couple $100,000 a year on the state programs. So no one needs to feel like, oh, you know, we're just working night and day just to help the nationals and nothing's coming back to our state. Opposition research. We do have a lot of opposition research. We usually, like nationally, I look at the groups. You know, I know the groups that we're competing with. Sometimes I go to their conferences. Sometimes I call in their phone calls. They might be calling, they call in our phone calls. They have the right to call in. We watch and see what they're doing. We're not doing anything wrong. All of our calls are, you know, open to anybody who wants to call in. They're recorded. Think of your calls the same way. You're not doing anything wrong if the pro-life people want to call in and listen. They certainly have the right to. They can't be disruptive. And we've had you know, folks like that call in on a number of our state calls, and we know it, and we don't mind, and just get used to it. But now remember, anybody on a state call that's open like that, if you don't want to speak and if you don't want to state your name and you just want to be in the background, remember you always have that opportunity. Unless you're a co-chair, it's going to be a little bit hard to, you know, be anonymous co-chair. But everybody else, they can be as anonymous as they want. And we do a national call every week if people can be as anonymous as they want. And then we've labeled all of our opposition, and I'm looking online. These phone calls, we're looking online. We can see the numbers. We have matched most numbers up with the people that we know, even our opposition. So our national calls, you know, we see that the Family Council and Ralph Reed's group, and, you know, they're on there. We don't mind, and they see we're on their calls. So there's a little bit of that going on.